Alright, Shalom Israel. Before I start, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Nahara Kakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles in Israel who will and teach well, to the Akim and Iwas and Byways and those pushing this word in truth and sincerity, to the brothers and sisters in the truth. Now, what I want to do, just play a little clip of a video dealing with the Cbdc and just read an article. And as we teach, is that the MOTB that is dealing with the RFID chip. Now the chip itself ain't going to have everything on it, but it will give you access to certain things in society, and this is how you'll be able to be controlled. And you'll see from this article, it's not the article was written in October the 19th, 2022, October this year, so that's a couple months back. But it shows you the idea that they have. And as we say, what they're doing, they're actually putting in the foundation for everything to go through that MOTB, through the chip. You know, it's going to give you access to various things in society, your medical records, your bank, you know, doctors, all these other areas, shops, what you buy and all, yeah. And as we say, like the scriptures, you have to be able to show how it's going to play out in real time. You know, we can all say what we believe this MOTB is. Some people saying it's an embargo, but it doesn't actually address how great and small. It's not great countries and small countries, because then, you know, you're saying that there's someone who's dictating whether you're part of this MOTB, and it's going to be an individual decision that you have to make whether you're going to accept it or not. Otherwise, how will the Most High be righteous, holding you accountable for what someone else does? You know, the scripture says we're going to all have to appear before the judgment seat, you know, and we will have to appear for what we've done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a bit of this video. It's a long video. And I'm going to read the article. Yeah. So hopefully the lesson's edifying, and you can see what we're actually talking about. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do: try and edify our people and warn them. Now, how you receive that warning, that's down to you. But the long and short is, you know, you won't be able to say in that day you was not warned. All right.
Asia, welcome to you all. Before we start, we want you to hear some thoughts from the IMF Youth Fellowship Program. It's a very interesting group. It gives an opportunity to 30 young professionals from around the world. You have to make it through, be at the top of 4,000 applications. And the idea is they join this group. They want to be part of global efforts, build forward better, and joining the IMF at the forefront to respond to current crises and potential crises. So let's listen to them share their thoughts on digital payments and financial inclusion.
In 10 years, people will change towards a semblance of a cashless society. It will be a battle between cash and mobile money.
I make most of my payments, literally all of my payments using my mobile phone.
Historically, I use cash for transactions, but in recent times, I use digital payment platform for over 60% of my transactions.
We must remember that more people have access to mobile phones than they do in different countries.
I think the central bank digital payment that prioritize interoperability and accessibility can really leverage the uptake of mobile phones in low-income countries to drive financial inclusion.
Invest a lot more in showing, rather than just telling, but showing the impact of financial inclusion and how that it extends beyond just having a transaction account.
I believe strongly that this is the future of the financial sector, and it's critical for that to be done.
Yeah, that's what I will play that. But, you know, even if you look at here over London, you used to be able to go on the buses and pay cash. You can't pay cash anymore. You know, you can even use your bank card to tap in and pay that way. You can use your phone to buy things. and they're trying to strip away cash and putting little things in place to say, oh, it'll be more easier. So, you got your cash app. You got your cash app on your phone that you can use to do your payments, etc. These are ways that they're bringing in to kind of subtly get you over to the idea of, going down the route of taking that chip at the end of the day. They always mark things off as trying to be more convenient. It's easier for you to do. You don't have to worry about having money on you. You can just swipe your fist and, everything's done. So that was the video. Yeah, it's a long video. I just wanted to play that little clip, to show this is the mindset they're trying to get the younger ones in. Because a lot of the older people, you probably won't get them. They're probably fixing their ways. So if they can grasp the youngers and put that on them, so that's a lifestyle for them. Yeah. So this article now, which a friend sent me. Yeah, shalom. It says, and this article is dated October the 19th, 2022. It says, IMF chief says central bank digital currency should be used alongside social credit system to control what people can and cannot buy. And when you look at that social credit system, China, which it mentions a bit in there, they've got in certain places that social credit system. So as an individual, you get certain points for doing certain things. Yeah, and you can see who's a good citizen by the amount of points you got. But let me read this article here. It says, where do I start off? Yeah, it says the Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund recently explained how central bank digital currencies can be programmed to determine what people are allowed to buy, and insisted they should be used alongside a China-style social credit score system. Unlike cryptocurrency, and what China did do at one point when they had the Winter Olympics, they did a trial on people just using digital currencies. It says, unlike cryptocurrency, which is private, central bank digital currency will be issued and controlled by the central banks themselves. In many ways, it's the same as banknotes, but that every single transaction will be monitored for compliance. Yeah, and that's what it boils down to. They want to be able to monitor and control what people do. It says on the 14th of October, the IMF streamed a meeting called Central Bank Digital Currencies for Financial Inclusion, Risk and Rewards, and that's the video here. It's over an hour long. Yeah, so I'll put the link of this article in the description box, so that if you want, you can take in that video. Says speakers were Her Majesty Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, who's also the UN Secretary General's Special Advocate for Inclusion, Finance for Development. Says Christina, I forget their names. Says the meeting was about global financial inclusion, yeah, which they said had improved over the past 10 years, but almost a quarter of the world's adult population are still unbanked. Now, says it's hoped that central bank digital currencies would be affordable, widely accepted and safe instruments which would address some of the issues surrounding financial inclusion, among other things. The live stream went under the radar for many, but our buddy Tim Incliffe over at The Sociable kept an eye on what was going on. Tim posted a video of Bailey, the Deputy Managing Director of the IMF, explaining how CBDCs can be programmed. Yeah, it says the smart contract would allow targeted policy functions like welfare payments, consumption coupons, food stamps, etc. With CBDCs, we can precisely control what people can and can't own. Also, what kind of use this money can be programmed for, like food only. Go down. It says Bo Lee went on to say that because of this potential programmability, government agencies could precisely target support packages to the right people. He went on to say that CBDCs can solve every financial inclusion challenge, but they can't solve every financial inclusion challenge, but they can work together with financial literacy and digital literacy. So CBDC would work with other policies like digital identities and digital wallets. Yeah? And all these things will be accessible via a chip. This goes hand in glove with what the World Bank Group described in November 2021. Digital identity verification is essential to the operation of CBDCs, particularly in cross-border transactions. It says tradable digital assets must be tied to a digital identity system, which in turn should be tied to an automatic KYC and AML CFT verification system. This is a foundational step to the potential use of CBDCs. An emerging development in regulatory and compliance technology may benefit central banks' experiments in the digital currency space. It is boldly described as central bank digital currency as an ecosystem, and that the data it would produce would be very valuable to third parties. When questioned on how this transaction data could be used, Bowley explained, I can give you one example in China. Those transaction data can be utilized by service providers in credit underwriting. So what's that? Underwriting is a process by which the lender decides whether an applicant is creditworthy and should receive a loan. And that goes back to the social credit that I was talking about in China, where you can build up certain scores, which will show whether you're a good citizen or a bad citizen. So there's those transaction data in terms of how many coffees I drink every day, where I buy coffee, do I use Uber every day, and what kind of working hours I have. Those non-traditional data can be very useful for financial service providers to give me a credit score, and based on that credit score, the service providers can give me a credit line without any face-to-face due diligence. He continued to say that this will create value in addition to finance, and that data can be very profitable, and that's the value we are talking about to make it attractive to private sector players to join this ecosystem. It's like the Chinese model, yeah, but every country has the option to do it differently. There is limited privacy. The IMF, World Bank and BIS are also managing many central banks on these new products. On the issue of data privacy, Cecilia the BIS Innovation Hub Director, explained what we just heard from Bo about credit score. Credit scoring was a very good example of how different countries will take different journeys to a new world where they serve their societies in the digital space, and they're not serving the societies. Yeah, like I said, this is what they always do, make it sound like it's profitable for the individual. And once you're all hooked, a simple example of how they do certain things over here to make it sound like it's good for everyone. We got a thing that's known as congestion charge zone. So it's a certain area where if you drive in that area, you pay a price, and the idea of that is to cut down the congestion that's built up in that area, and the stuff they're talking about that it does to the air. Yeah, when it started off, it was £2.50 a day just to drive into that area. Yeah, and they say, oh, it's very cheap, it's not going to cost a lot. Then about 5 years down the line, the first increase was a 100% increase. So it went from £2.50 to £5, and now, if I'm not mistaken, that's about £15 and mash now. Yeah, for you to drive through that area a day per vehicle. Yeah. So this is how things start. They make it look like it's going to be so simple. It's cost effective. It would help, but then there's always an underlying motive underneath these things. It says we will all have different preferences, and this preference on privacy or anonymity is tricky. And she continued to say that it is worth that it's worth to give up a little bit of privacy to get security. And what they say, we've heard that before, right? So, I'm going to post a link. There's more to it. I'm not going to read it. And there's videos there you can watch. Well, it's not much more, but the video itself, if you want to watch the video, actually, that's basically the most of that article. But there's the video which you can watch, which you get some, good information from. But what does that go into? Because remember, they're saying we can control what people buy and sell. Because once you're linked up to this system now, it's programmable. Yeah, so they can say, oh, you can only buy one loaf of bread from such and such a shop. You can't go to another shop and think you're going to scan and buy, because it's programmed for you to not be able to buy there. And this is how they manage to control you. Yeah, so it goes back to bread and butter scripture, Revelation 13 and 16. And he calls it all, both small and great. So it doesn't matter if you're a rich individual, if you're a poor individual. And it doesn't matter if you're a rich country or poor country. Everyone in those countries, they want linked up to this system. Rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And there's numerous videos you can see on YouTube where people have that already, to get them into their house, to buy things at the shops, get them into their cars. It says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And really and truly, this is where the Most High is going to come into play for those of us in the truth, because we're going to need that spirit. We're going to need this spirit upon us. We can all say now, whilst we're not in a situation, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do this, and we probably say it with all sincerity. But when you're actually faced with that situation, this is when you're really going to need the Spirit of the Most High upon you to stick with what the Most High says, and not to fall to pieces and buy into Esau's system, because that's what this is. He's trying to receive his blessing, which we receive, but he's trying to do it in a carnal manner, where ours was given by the Most High, and it's going to be a permanent blessing we have. But I just wanted to read the article, because like I said, it's interesting. They're talking about how it can be programmable and can control what people buy and what they don't buy. And they're talking about the social system. Let me see if I can quickly find. I did a video a while back about the Chinese social system. The truth about the Chinese social credit system. Let me see what this says. 1 second. China's social credit system isn't a world first, but when it's complete, it will be unique. The system isn't just a simple one being given a scores or what's happened there? Okay. It says China's social credit system has been compared to Black Mirror, Big Brother, and every other dystopian future sci-fi writers can think up. The reality is more complicated and in some ways worse. The idea for social credit came about back in 2007 with products announced by the government as an opt-in system in 2014. There's a difference between the official government system and private corporate version. So the latter scoring system that indicates shopping habits and friendships is often conflated with the former. Let's see. Says China's social credit system expands the idea to all aspects of life, judging citizens' behavior and trustworthiness. Caught jaywalking, don't pay a court bill, play your music too loud on the train. See, this is all control. You could lose certain rights, such as booking a flight or train ticket. The idea itself is not a Chinese phenomenon. Says nor is the use and abuse of aggregated data for analysis of behavior. I'll put this in the description as well so that you can read it. I'm not going to go through this, but let me quickly see if there's a YouTube video. YouTube. Lucky, I should have probably checked this out before. This channel social credit word that seemed like a long one. Let me see if there's a short one. It looks like somewhere. Alright, this is 4 minutes. Let's have a quick look at this.
This thing on? Hey, I'll show you something real quick, but you're only...
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 50 points. A score in the 700s is considered good, around the 500 mark is not.
So they'll probably have you like, telling on your neighbor to earn extra points. You see your neighbor doing something that they probably shouldn't, you go tell the authorities and that will get you brownie points.
For now, the number is a sort of bank keep track of everyone's spending habits.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules. It forces us to be well behaved.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it, and anyway, we don't have a choice.
But in an effort to keep all of its subjects in line, Beijing is taking the system a step further in 2020. It's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit. Xiao Wen-Wang is a model citizen. She lives in Nanjing, a testing ground for social ranking. Married with a child, she has a job in a retirement home, no debts, and she wouldn't dream of jaywalking.
As a good citizen, I respect the rules of the road. If I didn't, I'd lose points on my social credit.
In theory, everything can be taken into account in the social score. Innocuous errands like supermarket shopping.
Brother said a whole new meaning of trying to gain brownie points. Exactly.
When Xiao Wen-Wang makes an electronic payment, state a lot about her. Buying cigarettes would count against her. On the other hand, nappies show she's an attentive mother. Beer could indicate alcoholism. She'd be better off buying water. In this pilot city of 8 million people, there are only...
Now imagine that being tied up to the central bank digital currency system, where they can control what you buy and sell. So if they think that you're drinking too much alcohol, which is, or smoking too much, or whatever it is they think you're doing too much, your chip is now programmable and they can stop you from doing that.
For showing perks to be had, price for bus.
I get discounts for all public services, even at museums.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. This cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
It's a matter of principle. Those people have to be condemned.
Those people aren't honest, so they have to pay the price.
It's only right to pay your debts. You have to blacklist those that don't.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to zero. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members after being sued for defamation by the subject of a story.
So imagine that now. These Muppets here, where are they? This one here. Let's start here.
It's only right to pay your debts. You have to blacklist those that don't.
Now, this guy, they're saying he got too close for uncovering corruption.
Among them is this journalist Liu uncovering corruption among
so that deserves his credit score going down. So is it really about having good citizens or controllable citizens? Yeah, you think about that.
high-profile party members. After being sued for the subject he'd written, he was blacklisted. He only realised when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from travelling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
Punished because he's been branded untrustworthy by the state.
Untrustworthy because he got too close for uncovering corruption. Yeah.
Once you're blacklisted, you can start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
Yu Hu is among a tiny minority of people who have dared to criticize the system, which some are calling a digital dictatorship.
I worry, because I think many people like me will be deprived of individual freedoms, and all of us will live with restrictions of one kind or another.
And this is where we're going to need the Most High on our side, man. Yeah, we have to get ourselves right with him for him to be able to do that. But what did it say? IMF chief says central bank digital currency system should be used alongside social credit system. That was a look at a social credit system, how that works. Yeah, and you can see the reporter who tried to uncover corruption. Yeah, which you'd expect a good citizen to do. He got blacklisted as a bad citizen. So, you know, it's all about control. Yeah. Let me go to this Revelation 3 and verse 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Yeah, we need patience, we need faith in the Most High. I also will keep you from the hour of temptation, because at the end of the day, you know, it's only the Most High that's going to be able to guide us through this, and is the one that's allowing these things to happen. So, you know, it says, from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, it says, to try them that dwell upon the earth. You know, who are you going to stand up for? You're going to stand up for the Most High. And how do we do that? By keeping his word and patience, yeah, regardless of the situation, and faith. Yeah, but just something I wanted to touch on. Hopefully it was edifying. Like I said, I put the link to this article in the video, so you can in the description box, so you can check out this video if you want to. Yeah, but with that, yeah, shalom. I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Mahara Kakadash, Kwame Sha'Allah.